Good morning, everybody. So, this is going to be somewhat funnily conspiratorial, but the idea, the thought came up, how funny would it be if we could link the people who are protesting to getting parasites from their cats? Okay. This is anybody who knows anything about, owning a cat knows that there is a decent chance that a random cat that you see in the grass when you're playing Pokemon um, likely carries toxoplasmosis. Toxoplasma gondii, species of parasitic. Oh God, what is it? Oh, my eyes are tired. Uh, alveolate causes toxoplasmosis, infecting all warm-blooded animals. Members of the cat family are the only known definitive hosts which the parasite may undergo sexual reproduction. Now, what in the hell would this have to do with leftist protesters and liberal women in particular? Now, a lot of people are aware of the issue of suicidal empathy um, that comes with especially the left, especially the left-leaning Karens. I know there's a new acronym tied to them, but awfuls, affluent white females, something. I don't know. But anyway, one thing that all liberal women have in common is they all own cats, or at the very least, they are all feeding cats. Now, what are the chances? Now, not a whole hell of a lot is necessarily known about what toxoplasmosis does to the human brain. All we know really is that it infects it and creates certain odd behaviors. Like if you have toxoplasmosis, okay, and you're driving, if a cat is anywhere in the visible range, your eyes will lock to it almost instantly. You can pick a cat out of the grass a mile away if you have toxoplasmosis. Okay. It also leads similarly to more erratic driving behavior if you're infected with it. Now, if it can instantly get you to lock on to a cat that would otherwise be disguised in the tall grasses, and it could screw with your ability to drive, what are the chances that toxoplasmosis could secretly lead you to be more liberal and more suicidally empathetic? How funny would it be if all of the crazy lefty Karen bullshit was strictly the consequences of cats secretly trying to take over the world and destroy the entirety of the Western civilization? Would that not be incredibly, incredibly funny? Oh, apparently it also creates cysts in the body. But as your immune system attacks, it creates cysts. Parasite can live in a dormant state, although recently I believe I saw something about toxoplasmosis not being. Give me one second. Toxoplasmosis study. I'm pretty sure recently I saw a study referring to toxoplasmosis as it not being anywhere near as dormant as they originally thought. Now, the interesting thing about the human body is the human body is great, but it's also shit. The human body is not exactly the lean, mean, efficient fighting machine that people want to make it out to be. Okay. Certain parasites can absolutely kick the shit out of the human body. Although at the same time, if you are cripplingly sick or diseased, not medical advice, if you're cripplingly sick and diseased, certain parasites can actually save you. Like if you have Oh god, like Crohn's disease, like severe Crohn's disease, something where your immune system is attacking your digestive tract and your intestinal lining. There have been cases where people, were essentially given tapeworms, and of course, the natural desire of a parasite is, well, shit, if you're a parasite, you don't want the host to die. So you start rewiring the immune system in order to keep the host alive. And that is enough to stop the body from attacking itself. All right. But anyway, I really want to know, and there needs to be a study on it. I really want to know if toxoplasmosis would explain any of the crazy Karen behavior, especially the especially the fact that these girls, like women, naturally side to the left, but most of these girls, they find their cats funny and they love their cats. All right, a little too much. Their cats stick the paw that they were using to bury their shit 3 seconds ago on the plate to, you know, take something off your plate, and they giggle and they laugh about it. But it's like you just got infected, possibly infected, and shit bacteria on the plate of food that you're eating from. Um, I mean, yeah, it's fun and cute, but Jesus Christ, what are you doing? And then they'll still eat it. And it's just like, oh God, here we go. I really want to know if toxoplasmosis would rewire the brain of these women to become suicidally empathetic. A lot of them don't have kids. That's the thing, too. A lot of women don't have kids. And in not having kids, that also generally leads to them having more cats. Boxed wine in Catland is not a joke. It is an end state. It is where you get to when you're 30, 40, 50 even, and you don't have kids as a female. No, if you don't have kids, then you get a cat or multiple cats or multiples of multiple cats, and they become your surrogate children, essentially. Let me. All right, I'm gonna pause real quick and see if I can pull up anything else. Give me just a moment. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull up the NIH information on this, but it's also worth mentioning that toxo, if mice and rats are infected by it, they will walk up right up to a cat. They will jump towards cats, effectively begging to be eaten by them, in order to allow the oh god parasite to reproduce. All right, psychomotor performance. Because animal studies have demonstrated that mice infected with T. gondii have impaired gondii have impaired motor performance. Human studies are carried out. No, 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 no. I was given to 60 adults positive for antibodies, 59 adults negative for antibodies. Good subtle alterations. Have any effect on human behavior? Oh, good lord, there's so much text. Uh, Prague Hospital from 146 deemed to be. To test this, Sarah were collected for either as a driver or pedestrian in a motor vehicle accident. Sarah were compared to 446 control collected by random sampling in Prague. Difference in seroprevalence of toxoplasmosis in the two samples suggests that toxoplasma-infected individuals have a 2.65 times higher risk of traffic accidents. Oh, but are we going to charge women more for insurance because they have cats? These are the questions. Founding factors cannot be ruled out. That might lead to both exposure to Gondii and vehicle accidents. Higher incidence of antibodies among drivers involved in traffic accidents was also found in a recent study in Turkey among 185 such drivers. Rate of antibodies in Turkey's they've got cats everywhere in Turkey. Um, Antibodies was 24.3%, IgM antibodies 3.2, age match control antibody. Possible relationships between Gandhi infections and intelligence, education, and memory. Initial reports, intelligence, and education were found to be spurious when all confounding factors were taken into account. Two unpublished studies found no association between infection and short-term memory, but but I'm willing to bet that it does probably have an effect. I mean, if it can hijack your eyes essentially and force you to lock onto cats and screw up your ability to drive, and the two combined especially can fuck up your ability to drive, it would make total sense if the furry little Egyptians were secretly responsible for the rise and then fall of civilizations. It'd be so oddly perfect if it was just a catspiracy. Rodent models, evolutionary terms, manipulation hypothesis, parasite changes behavior of the rodent in a way to increase chances. Parasites getting into a feline and completing its lifestyle. Humans are dead-end hosts because the chances of a human being will be eaten by a feline are infinitesimally small unless you die in your apartment alone, and then, starving cats will actually consume their owner. Not exactly a fun part, but however, not always the case. However, among our primate ancestors, this was not always the case. Yeah, that's a fair point. Eaten by large felines in Africa, a study Ivory Coast confirmed that primates account for a large portion of a leopard's diet and revealed the predation pressure exerted by large felines. In addition, parasites are not aware that they have entered dead-end hosts, so they are likely to exert whatever effects they do in any host. True, very true. Although, honestly, it would not surprise me if a parasite were to not have any kind of conscious capacity. Um, Increasingly, I do wonder if everything is a little bit conscious. I know it sounds ridiculous, but consciousness is essentially fundamental to the universe, at least in parts, it seems like. Alternate explanations can't be ruled out, so we know it screws. Oh, wait a minute. Exerting effects on human personality, possible mechanism. It's known that T. gondii increases dopamine in rodents, and also that treating the rodents with selective dopamine uptake inhibitor differentially alters the behavior of the infected and uninfected rodents. Also, the observed low level novelty seeking in humans infected with toxo or cytomegalovirus is supposedly associated with high dopamine levels in the ventral midbrain. Hmm, interesting. I gotta read that again. Supposedly associated with high mechanism of the dopamine increase by T. gondii is known, but may involve the inflammatory release of dopamine by increasing cytokines such as interleukin 2. Dopamine imbalance between the mesolimbic and mesocortical regions in the brain is suspected to play a role in the development of schizophrenia, which could explain the observed association between schizophrenia and toxoplasmosis. Well, shit. I guess we have an answer, or at least a correlative answer. The crazy cat ladies are crazy because they're cat ladies. Wonderful. Also, possible differences in the level of testosterone may be responsible for the observed behavioral differences in the infected and infection free subjects. Lower second to fourth digit length ratio, greater body height in men, longer duration of pregnancy, and higher sex ratios, i.e., more male births, suggests that toxo-infected subjects have a higher level of testosterone. High levels of steroid hormones have been associated with lower cellular immunity. All right, so weakening the system. Thus, the most parsimonious explanation of the observed high testosterone toxo association is a high risk of toxo infection in subjects with high I'm running over sentences. Alternatively, evolutionary behavior changes could be Alternatively, in an evolutionary sense, the behavior changes induced by T. gondii could be side effects of the organism's increase in testosterone in order to impair the cellular immunity of the host and thus increase the chances of surviving in the host organism. But if you're also not necessarily spiking, but increasing the testosterone, give me just a moment. Alrighty, and we are back. Isn't the boring part of researching something fantastic? Okay, anyway, where'd we leave off? Organism increase in testosterone in order to impair the cellular immunity of the host and thus increase the chances of surviving in the host organism. Hmm. Oh, interesting. So, if it boosts testosterone, reducing cellular immunity, so this explains why the man flu is always so much worse. But it also would explain why the hell all the evil leftist Karen cat ladies, when it comes to going out and protesting, are always so goddamn violent. Also, the fact that, women being women have not had to deal with the reality of the equal rights and equal lefts. You know? Anyway, 15 years suggests latent toxoplasmosis influence the behavior not only of rodents but also humans. Still need to be elucidated. Alright. Let's see if there's anything else here in the references that we can touch on. Influence of chronic on personality factors. Let's have a look. Being demonstrated in growing number of host parasite systems, promote transmission of the parasite. Acute phase of infection, toxoplasmosis. Subject cysts are formed mainly in neural and muscular tissue. Parasite Bradyzoides. How the fuck do you even say that? Inside the cyst usually cause little to no harm in immune competent individuals. Do you have anything more? Is this just the front end? What the fuck? Transmission, immediate, definitive host, mediated by carnivorism. Would also contaminated meat. What kind of meat? And soil apparently can be a transmission factor. Can only be accomplished in a feline. Strong selection pressure to manipulate immediate host behavior so as to favor predation by felines. Human personality. Is that it? Where the hell's the rest? What the fuck? What the fuck? Apologies. Related. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. Well, that's not exactly what I was going for. Where's the actual full research? God. Well, whatever. We'll just end it on that. So honestly, I'm willing to say that there's probably an incredibly high likelihood that toxoplasmosis infection leads to lefty female protesters and just Karens being Karens. It's probably the cats. All right. Now, given this does not mean go out there and, destroy all kitty cats, but it is a thing. Toxo is a thing. People are carrying brain altering, behavior changing parasites, and a lot of them don't even really know. Toxo even ends, going back to the eye thing, Toxo doesn't just get into the brains, it gets into the eyes. So, yeah. Take from it what you will, but this is just an odd little shift in thinking. Regardless, I'll see you guys next time.